minimize the usage over your network as well. Okay. All right. Some of the things about Dr. Erickson is she is an assistant professor of information at the School of Information and assistant professor of electrical engineering and computer science at the College of Engineering at the University of Michigan. One of the special things and relationships we have is she actually completed her PhD at Georgia Tech. So I was one of those educators that took a few of her professional development courses at Georgia Tech and trying to use computer science and the Java language with graphics and images to try to build interest with students in computer science. And this was like years ago. But she's worked in a variety of research labs, including General Motors research labs, Bell Communications Research, and the Institute of Paper Science Research. Her research interests include computer education, learning analytics, artificial intelligence, and user experience. And she creates and tests interactive electronic books for introductory computer courses and believes that interactive ebooks have a great potential for improving learning through active learning, immediate feedback, and spaced practice. One of those ebooks we were just discussing is entitled CS Awesome. And she was one of the creators of Runestone Academy. So, she's been doing a lot for computer science and equity in computer science, trying to get more young ladies interested in the field, more people of color interested in pursuing the field. So she's really been around, one of those foot soldiers in our fight for equity in computer science. Okay. I'm going to go and see if we have any other information to get her back on. And we do thank you for your patience as we navigate these technical issues. So I can say, I know you're not here to hear me, but a little bit about myself. As stated, I'm Sababu Shaka Barashango. I've actually been in education for 21 plus years. I started out with a mathematics and French degree. Math is life. And I have a master's in math education. And, I love teaching both computer science and mathematics, and having a great time being a fellow at Georgia Tech at the Constellations Center for Equity in Computing, because I believe that our campaign is very, very important, especially now since a lot of schooling is being done virtually. Having those computer science skills really does come in handy. And if you see me looking around, I'm looking to see if we have any indication of if she's able to get back in real quick. Hey, whew.
Not sure.
All right.
When I tried to do two separate things, it just killed everything.
Okay. Well, the session is over. I already went and did your presentation, so.
Okay, excellent.
Let me stop. Come on back. So I did already go through your bio. So I didn't know if there was something in addition you wanted to kind of mention, or just go ahead and get started.
Let's get started since we're behind, especially.
Okay.
Did you share the link again in the chat for the slides for people?
Yes. So the link for the attendance form is pinned to the top. And then if you scroll up, you'll see a tiny URL that says APCS-2020. And that'll be the link for Dr. Erickson's presentation. All right. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you.
Let's try this again. All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Barb Erickson. So nice to have you all here. Sorry for the delay. Sometimes a little difficulty. My email's here in case you ever need to reach me. It's barbar, like the elephant, er@umich.edu. I'm now an assistant professor at the University of Michigan, though I was in Georgia for many, many years, 25 years. So there's the URL again. All right, agenda. So we have a lot to get through, a little bit of time. This is just going to give you a little taste of things. But luckily, we are running a whole series of workshops in June, and I'll have a link for that near the end. So first 15 minutes, I want to introduce you to the ebooks, some of the interactive features if some of you are new. 30 minutes, we're going to walk through how to create a custom course. You can create your own course and have your students sign up for that course. And then you can create assignments from the materials already in the ebooks, and you can grade those assignments, which is really good. And then 15 minutes, we'll talk about some additional resources. So if you're interested, what are some other things you could get? And then we'll answer questions. So what do we have? So I've been working for many years now on free ebooks. Well, we started with the free ebook for Computer Science Principles, the new AP Computer Science Principles course. Okay, now I'm getting the wheel of spinny death thing. Lovely. Try to move to slide 4 here. So AP Computer Science Principles, the ebook that we created is in Python and only covers the programming part for the most part. So there's the links there. I'm on slide 4. CS Principles, there's a student version and a teacher version. The big difference is the word teacher in the title there. And then CS Awesome is, I, for many years, have been working on AP Computer Science, a Java review book for CSA. And then I'm now working with the mobile CSP team. They've created a new version called CS Awesome, which has been really great. So there is a website for CS Awesome if any of you are APCSA teachers or are interested in transitioning from CS Principles to CSA, learning that as well. It has lesson plans, professional development for teachers. There's still spots open this summer. It's all remote now because of COVID. And there is a teacher community that's been really active. So if you are an APCSA teacher, I really recommend you join that community. We have volunteers this summer adding some new features to the ebook as well, which is exciting. So well, all Runestone ebooks are free and interactive. You can go and use any of them without registering, but if you're going to be an instructor and create a course, you probably want to register for an ebook. So if you don't have an account on Runestone, I would go to this tiny URL, and I will paste that in the chat window. So if you've never used Runestone, you can try clicking on that. Then you, of course, would enter your information. So be careful. One of the problems people have is they create a login and they think it was their email, but it wasn't their email. And I'm not sure you can use an email for your login. So make sure you write down whatever you create as a user ID and a password. And then you can use overview, all lowercase. Overview is the course name. It'll ask you a course name. You can register for any of the existing 18 free ebooks on Runestone. If you already have an account on Runestone, you want to click on, there's a person icon on the top right, and then click on Change Course, which is in a list of courses you have. At the bottom, on the right-hand side, it'll say Change Course. And then you'll see a list of all the courses you currently have, and you can click on Enroll in a Course. And then you can type in the name in the short course name that's on the list on the right side of that page. And I'll show you in a minute how you can do that as well. You can use Overview as the course name. Overview gives you an example of, it's an ebook that gives you examples of all the kinds of interactive features we have in the book. If you'd rather register for CS Principles or CSA, you can do that as well. So if you've already registered for Runestone, again, you'd click on that person icon on the top right of the page, then click on the Change Course here on the right, and then click on Enroll in a Course. And then here under course name is where you would type in the course name. And it's student CSP for that version, teacher CSP, or CS Awesome. And I want to stop a moment and make sure people are able to register. Sababu, are you checking the chat window to make sure if anybody's having trouble?
Yes, I am. I don't see any messages.
Okay.
So do you want them to go ahead and try to register at Runestone right now?
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Okay.
So you can follow along a little bit if anybody's having trouble.
Okay, so if you haven't done so already, go ahead and register at runestone.academy. If you're having any issues, please post
so yeah, this
in the
is
chat.
the URL. I'll put it in the chat window again, the URL that you would go to create to register for a book. I have a little tiny URL there.
Okay.
So you can copy that, put that in a browser window and enter that. And then otherwise you can add courses. All right, well, I know I talk fast, but I was catching up since we were late. All right, so now I'm going to do a little demos of some of the interactive features. The slides do have links, so you can follow along those links. So some of them are in Student CSP ebook, and some of them are in CS Awesome. And it's going to complain to me, I have a ton of custom courses, so you'll have to bear with me when I go to select my custom course since I have so many. You can tell which course you're in by looking at the top left corner. It'll have the course name in the top left. So Student CSP is the one I'm in currently. And what I wanted to show you, oops, not here. Sorry, go back. You can always navigate through the ebook by clicking on the course name at the top left. That gets you always back to the table of contents. Table of contents has clickable links. So if you want to go check out something, you just can click right on that to go someplace. We have runnable, this is the Student CSP book, so it has runnable Python code. You can change any of the code. You can actually write any Python 3 code here. So it's a nice way to give students code that they can immediately start working with, so they can modify things. In the ebook, we're using a worked examples plus practice approach. So we have this example code that does something that you can run, and then we follow it by practice questions that you can immediately check to see if you're right or not. So this was asking which way does a turtle face when it's first created, and it goes that way first, which would be east, but you can check it with multiple choice questions. The other thing you can do, this is what I actually worked on my dissertation on, was mixed up code problems. So rather than make people write code from scratch, which could be overwhelming for beginners, here we've given you all the correct code to draw this picture, but it's mixed up. And there's some distractors or incorrect code. And you can see these pairs of correct and incorrect code. So there's, I also put labels on the left-hand side so that if you're working in groups or you have your students working in groups, they can easily talk about the blocks. So they can say, well, what block do you think we should move first? Well, is it 3A or 3B? Oh, well, 3A has lowercase import, 3B has uppercase import. You know, oh, what was it again? Oh, it's lowercase import. Okay. So you just drag the blocks from the left to the right. So I need to create a screen, create a turtle. And then if I want to draw this picture, if I start up east, I have to go right to go south. Then I would go forward 150 and then turn left 90. And I'm going to make a mistake and use go instead of forward. If I check my answer, it'll highlight anything that's wrong, which might make me say, oh yeah, okay, I should use forward. If I get it correct, great. If students struggle to solve a problem, so I'm just going to grab a bunch of stuff here, drag it over, which my research has shown can happen. So if they have a lot of blocks in here and they're, submit at least 3 solutions, they get a little pop-up that says the Help Me button is available. So if they click the Help Me button, if they used any incorrect code, it'll first animate moving back to the left. So here I say, okay, it animates moving back to the left, repairs with the correct code, which is a hint, hey, use that one. And then it'll start combining blocks. So it'll combine blocks till you get down to 3 blocks and then tell you, hey, you should be able to solve that. It's probably already in order, which it is. And then you can reset and try again. So that's some of the interactive features. Are parsons problems or those mixed up code problems, runnable code. Some other interactive features are clickable code, which is kind of a fun one, especially in Java, because Java can be, oh yes, I know, I have to go back to CS Awesome. Try it. Java's rather wordy at times, so I like clickable code as a way to get people to pay attention to what's going on. Okay, so I got a lot of multiple choice questions here, but if I scroll down, here's clickable code. So we're asking people to click on all the variable declarations in the following code. I've clicked on 2 of the variable declarations, but then I also clicked on initialization. Beginners often have a difficult time understanding what's the difference between declaration versus initialization. So if I do that correct, I get all of them are correct. So that's a nice feature, clickable code. And then matching, we have end of chapter summaries that have definitions for topics for new words. And so you can do these matching things where you drag stuff from one side to the other for matching. So there's always these. So what's code used to create new objects, initialize the object attribute? That'd be a constructor in Java. A specific instance of a class would be an object. Define the behaviors for methods. Defines a new data type would be a class. So you just drag over things like that and check to see if you're correct. So those are some of the interactive features. For CS Awesome in particular, one of the new things I just added, so I run this project Rise Up also to help underrepresented students succeed in high school computer science, particularly A. This year we actually ran Sisters Rise Up for Women of Color at 5 institutions across the country, which was interesting. Unfortunately, many of the institutions didn't have enough women of color taking APCS-A to make that worthwhile, but Maryland had 16, which is exciting. And I used to run this, of course, at Georgia Tech for years, and it's still being run, I believe, so that's exciting. So one of the neat things I watched, one of the things I do is watch the videos of the remote help sessions, and then that gives me ideas about things that we need to do in the ebooks. So I was watching one of my undergrads trying to go through a free response question, and the computer science A exam has these, this is one example. This is a question from 2019. It was question 3, part A on the exam. And so this is directly from the exam, what it looked like. And this can be very difficult for beginners to read all this English and code and try to figure out what is it, first of all, what is it I'm supposed to be doing? Do I understand the question? Then what's the algorithm to solve the problem? Then how do I translate that algorithm to code? And we've had all these in here for a long time, but one of the things that I realized was students had a hard time even understanding the English, reading the English and picking out the pieces they needed to know. So we made something like a clickable code argument for this one, which is, okay, just click on the part of the sentence below with the type of thing that's passed to the method get delimiters list and the type it returns. And so you could click different things in here trying to figure out what piece is telling me that bit. And if I check me, it'll tell me which is the correct and which is wrong. Then we can also ask what types are some of the other things that they're asking you about. So these are reveals because when I first put these in, one of the APCSA teachers said, oh, well, hide them because some of my students don't want you to give away those answers. They don't want to see those things. They want to go try it, but then use those as hints if they're having trouble. So this way, everything's hidden unless you say you want to reveal it. So we ask a bunch of questions about types here to try to lead the user from the English to what types they have to work with. Then we ask the user to explain in plain English what algorithm they're going to use to solve it before we then reveal our algorithm in English. And then we have questions that are like, how would you write the code then to do those things? So these are questions that lead you through how would you do this code. And then there's the actual code where you can write the answer, and it has a main method that tests your solution. We're also adding unit tests from Java now over the summer because we have that working now. So a lot of the Java problems now will have unit tests. So you can test student work easily and auto-grade it, which is fun. So that's one of the new features, exciting. So any questions so far? Let me check the chat window. My daughter took part in Sisters Rise Up. Woo! I had a group me from years ago from Project Rise Up and Sisters Rise Up, and we have a student who wants to interview some of the alums from that. So I posted in the GroupMe. Now nobody's posted in there for years. And I had responses in minutes from a bunch of the students, which was so exciting, and to see how they're doing. And, I'm at Google for the third time, and I'm at Microsoft, and I'm at Facebook, and I'm doing this, and I'm about to graduate. And it was so exciting to have them all respond right away like that. They told me that they really enjoyed it. So that was great.
That just shows the major impact you had on them.
I hope so. We're gonna follow up with some more interviews, but that was really exciting. So how to create a custom course. So you want to be an instructor and you want your students to sign up for a course. That's easy to do from any of the existing ebooks. You go to this URL. So if you wanted to make a course for your students that you can then assign them, make assignments and things. I'm putting the URL in the chat window. There we go. But it's on the slides as well. So you just need to enter a unique name for your course. One of the things like I do is I'll put like SI 206-Win 20 for winter 20, because I want to make a custom course for every semester. So you need to come up with some unique, your school name plus year, and that's probably enough for your folks, or course name or something. So some name that's not too long, but that makes it unique. And so you can build a custom course. You have a little description. You can say what's your institution, and then you select which ebook. So like if you're doing CS Awesome, you could select that one. And then once you create a custom course, you are the instructor. So when you're the instructor, you can go to the instructor page by clicking on the little person icon on the top right, and then click on instructors page. And then you can create assignments. So you can click on the assignment tab and click on add, and then type in a name for the assignment. And I'm going to go ahead and show this in just a moment here. I have to switch to one of the courses I am an instructor in. I just made a new one today as a test CSA. All right, so I am an instructor of this course. So if I go up as an instructor and go to the instructors page, it's taking a second, there it goes. Click on the assignments tab. And then I can add a new practice. So I could say something like variable practice. I don't like to use spaces in names because sometimes that causes problems. So I might say variable practice. Create that. Then you have a choice. You could either assign just problems or readings and problems. So if I assign readings, all the problems in those chapters or sub-chapters get added as problems. So if I want to look at variables, which I think is in here, yep, okay. Variables, there we go. I can just click on the entire folder, and notice it says there's 20 activities in that. And I can require half of them or less or 75%. So you can control any of these things. So you can say, okay, you have to do at least 16 of the 20. And then how many points are they worth? And then how do you want to grade them? Is it just if they try them, that's interaction, did they try it? Or do I want to see other things? So it depends. If I get down to more specific, I can say whether or not they got it right. I can say, do I want to grade their first answer, their last answer, their best answer? So those are all things I can do here. But since I'm doing tons of these at once, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, Dr. Erickson, we had a very good question pop up in the chat from Mrs. Fuller. One of the questions was, is there anything in place to prevent students from trying to create an instructor's page?
No, I don't know that we've had that be a problem. It's not easy to find. Normally, it's not like you can find that easily on Runestone how to create a custom course unless you're an instructor already. So no, I don't think I don't think we've done that. It's also, these books are also on GitHub. So students can actually go find the books on GitHub and actually find all the answers in them as well for things like multiple choice questions. But I don't know that we've had a big problem with that yet.
Okay.
Open source. Everything is open source for sure.
So potentially a student could create an instructor's account and then create a custom course?
If they found the URL somehow, it's not publicized.
Okay. Thank you.
But it wouldn't help them anyway. They don't get anything more they don't get any other answers than you get from being a student. I mean, but the more likely as a problem is they can find on GitHub the book and then find the answers that are hard coded into the book source.
Okay.
But that's a lot of work. So I don't know, that's a big deal. Yeah, the book, if they found the teacher's edition of CS Principles, they would find answers that aren't in the student edition. But we don't have a teacher edition for APCSA right now.
Okay.
So here I could do this way. You can say, when is the due date? You do want to make it visible to students if you're creating an assignment, if you want them to see it. You could make a timed assessment, which is a timed exam as well, leave a time limit there. I'm not going to worry about all that. I'm just going to save it. And once you've created an assignment, students can then see that assignment if they go back to the table of contents. So I click back to that. So remember the test, the name of the course is always shown on the top left here. It's how I can tell which one I'm in. I'm in Test CSA. And right under the table of contents, there's the assignments. And it'll show up here. And when I click on that link, it'll take me right to the thing that I need to do. So I need to do variables and data types. And as I do things, I'm just going to answer whatever. Oh, got it right. I'm not even reading these things, but I want to show you at the bottom of the page. This is what your students will probably do too, right? Sometimes. Yeah, just click on stuff. Okay, great. Move along. Great. Click on the variable declarations. This is one I already did. All right. Okay. I might actually take a moment to do that one. Click on all the variable initializations. Oops. This one has initialization. Okay. Assignment dyslexia, where somebody messes something up. So now we have unit tests here, so you can see when this one passes. So that's exciting. That's just gotten added. There's also these fill in the blank. So declare age to be an integer. What type should a shoe size be? Oh, getting double. I've been playing in Python for too long. Number of tickets. Int's probably good. All right, then a person's problem. What am I doing here? So you can do these different things. But one of the things I wanted to show you is it keeps track on the bottom, how many things have they done. So 14 out of 20 so far. If you tell them they have to do at least 16, they can kind of get sense for what they've done. Let's see. I want to show you how to grade these two. So that's why I'm trying to do at least a few more. So those are filled in the blank. Debug the code. There's a bunch of bugs in here, so people can see what they're doing. Welcome to the report on channel. Need semicolons. Temperature today, enclosing literal. System data print on. It'll start an expression. Here, calling something. Okay, let's see how we're doing now. Still errors. Int temperature. Let's try double. So there's a lot of work that they can do in pairs, which is nice too. There's even a pair programming. Boolean setting equals. Oops. Forgotten in Java, is it capital or lowercase? Okay, good. Python, it's uppercase, so it's like, radio channel. What is radio? Spelled that wrong. And symbol temperature. Is it spelled differently? Yep. I don't know which one's right. Spelling is not my forte. There we go, but there's still an error. All right, we're getting close. Temperature should be double. That's pretty close.
0.0.
Yeah, but I did declare it to be double, and it's printing it, so it should print it as double. So expected actual, I see. So they want me to cast it to something. on that one. Huh. No, anyway, I'm not going to worry about it right now. But all right, I've done some of these activities. So now as an instructor, I can go back to the instructors page if my students were supposed to have done this, and I can grade it. So I can auto grade. I can go to an assignment here, select the assignment, and then I can just say auto grade. And that'll loop through all your students and grade everything and then show the results. So that's a fun feature. I use that all the time in my course where I use some of this. So students find the assignments just as a reminder by looking at the table of contents. There's the assignments, and all the assignments you create would be listed there. You can go back and make them non-visible after, like, so they don't have this huge list over time. I often leave it up. I graded assignments by going to the instructors page and then clicking on the person icon, click on the grading tab, and you can auto grade and display totals. Other resources. There is an instructor guide for Runestone. There's a link here for that. And there's a list of all the free ebooks on Runestone. If you're on any Runestone book and you click on the little icon on the top left, which is actually a Viking Runestone is where the name comes from. Brad Miller is one of the people who created this, has a Scandinavian heritage. I don't know why he named it Runestone, but he wanted it to be, the lingua franca for ebooks. And so you can see the list of, it says our library. Here's all the different books that are available. Welcome to try out any of these books. We're adding more, actually. I'm adding at least 2 more this summer. One for C++ for the engineers here at University of Michigan, and one Python for everybody that Chuck Severance has a big MOOC on that millions of people have taken. And so I'm making that book interactive. So more books are coming. And let's see. So workshop series. So if you got interested in this and want to learn more, we are running a workshop series free Monday, June 22nd through Thursday, June 25th from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. You can register for the series by just adding the ebook, this one, using Runestone 20. So if you want to add a book, remember you go up to the person icon, say you want to change course and then enroll in a course and then add that book name. If you add that book name, we'll have your email and we'll be able to email you information about it. But on Monday, we're going to walk through much slower what's, introduction to the ebooks and student experience and all the interactive features. There's more interactive features that I haven't shown you yet. Tuesday, we're going to have the teacher experience, which is creating courses, managing students, monitoring student progress, the instructor features. There's also a space practice tool, which is really cool. We know that people learn better if they practice over time rather than mass their practice, but it's hard to convince kids to actually space practice out. We actually know there's a theory called desirable difficulties that you learn better long-term if you interleave topics. You don't just study one topic all the time. You interleave different things. If you bring it back days later and try to recall it, if you do testing versus, just rereading. But it's hard to get students to do that. So we made a space practice tool in Runestone that once you have, as the instructor, say that you've gone through several chapters. So say you're already through chapters 1, 2, 3, you can set up your space practice tool to go back to any of the old material in those old chapters and randomly bring those back up. So we, at Michigan, we trialed this by having students, required that students had to answer 10 questions correctly a day over X days of the semester to get a certain number of points. And they could, if they got stuck on a question, they could skip it for that day and it would come back another day. So when, our research on this showed that students who use this practice tool improve their final grades. So it's exciting to have that space practice tool. And then on Wednesday, you can actually create, I showed you creating assignments, grading assignments, and then writing new content. You can actually write new questions in the ebooks as well. So I do this for my course. When you create an assignment, you can go down and it'll say write, and you can select what kind of thing to write. We actually write all the questions in the ebooks using RST, restructured text, which is a little weird. but we give you starter code and then this overview that I had you join, which I'm going to show you again. Let me go to the overview. So I'll change course, go to overview. If I can find it in my huge list here. As you can see, I have so many courses. There we go, overview. Come on. So overview gives you a nice introduction to lots of different kinds of the questions that we have. And it also will show you the source code. Oh, this is one thing I haven't shown you is Code Lens. You can walk through code using Philip Grove's Python Tutor or Java Tutor. We actually have this now for Java as well. And it'll walk through code and show you what the variable names are. It can even pop up a question in the middle of this to ask you what's the next value going to be. So if I have value of tote after the line with the red arrow executes, total will be tote plus I is 0, tote is 0, so it'll be 0, which is handy. That tells me I'm correct. So I can step through code and see exactly what's happening. This is great, especially in AP Computer Science A when you have arrays or lists, because it does all the drawing for you of what it looks like. No magic, which is great. So that's Code Lens. And then in any of these, you can show the source to see how we actually write those. So we're using restructured text or RST, which uses this dot. It's a markup language, like HTML is a markup language, but we use these lowercase, these periods, dot, and then there are directives. So Code Lens is one of the directives that we've added to this language. Then you use colon, and you have a unique ID over here. And then there's options, which are these colon things underneath that, which are what kind of options do you want for it? And then the actual code is here that people step through. So this overview course, which I had you register for, both gives you practice, to see what kind of features are there as interactive features, but then shows you the source for how that gets created. So here's a clickable area. And so this is a handy thing to look at. And then on Thursday, we're going to have several instructors who have created and used Runestone ebooks talk. So you don't have to come to all these, you don't have to come to any of them, but you can go to whatever one you're interested in. And as I said, it's all free. So if you're interested in those, you can join by just adding this ebook using Runestone 20. And we encourage teachers to join the CS Awesome Google group and contribute. We have lots of teachers contributing unit tests this summer, which is exciting. Some of the plans for the future. So one of the things I'm working on, I've been studying the mix-up code problems or Parsons problems. One of the things we're running into, which is not surprising given the theory that we're building on, theory of cognitive load, or that experts actually can get annoyed by the mix-up code problems because they want to solve it themselves. So I have some students in my course that go, I don't want to do the mixed up code problem because I want to just write the code. So I'm going to add ability for, if you have a mixed up code problem, for you to say, I want to switch and write the code and have unit tests instead. The other thing I want to work on is if you're writing code and you're running into difficulty, I'd like to pop up the mixed up code problem that's most similar to what you're writing. So it isn't necessarily going to be the same as what you're writing, but it could be similar to what you're writing as a way to help people when they're trying to write code and are struggling. Those are two of the things that I'm interested in adding. So I'm ending a little bit early. Let's see. I want to see what people want to know. Let me stop sharing my screen for a moment. Well, maybe I'll keep sharing so I can see if anybody.
Okay. So one, I wanted to remind you, if you just joined the session a little bit after the beginning, to fill out the attendance form, the session attendance form that's pinned at the top of the chat. And then at this moment, we'll have our question and answer period with Dr. Barbara Erickson. So if you would like to ask her not a personal question, but if you would personally like to ask her a question, please, you can go ahead at this time and request to, share your video, and we'll see if we can pop you up on the screen to ask her a question.
Yeah, I also see people say that it does say on the website for instructors only. You do not need to build your own course if you're a self-learner. If you think you're a student that's building your own course, we'll show you the answers. You are wrong. So that's great.
So it looks like we have Alvarez should be joining in a few seconds. It is a little delay once I click on it, but Leonardo Alvarez would like to ask a question.
Oh, how to migrate your courses from one email with username to another. I don't know. It's something I could ask. If you could email me, I'll put my email in the window as well. I will ask Brad if that's a possibility. Other than emailing Brad and asking him to do it for you, that's probably what it is right now. And then I see, can you explain again how to sign up for the workshop? So all you have to do is add that ebook using Runestone 20 to sign up for the workshop. Oh, I see somebody else answered. Great.
Yeah, you have some great spectators.
Yeah, they're on it. All right.
So yeah, thank you for the information. Okay, so we're getting a lot of thanks for the information. Great resource. Definitely, I concur. Any other questions? We're getting thanks. Hi from Samantha Cable.
And Twitter handle. The overview course is just a overview of the kind of interactive features. It's not intended to be a book at all. So it's quite different from CS Awesome. Okay. How to sign up. So how to register for the ebook or to sign up for, okay, I'm not sure which one you mean. So to sign up for the workshop series, what you need to do is add the course using Runestone 20. So you go back up to the top right corner of your, if you're in Runestone, and you click on the little person icon, and you click on change course, and then enroll in a course, and then you type in for course name using Runestone 20 that we put in the chat window, and then apply changes. So try that. Let me see if you manage to do that. If you manage to do that, you will see that you'll be in Runestone using Runestone 20. You can always check by the name on the top left corner, tells you which book you're in. So I'm going to using Runestone 20 right now. And that's what it'll look like. So this is a project-oriented book that has a bunch of projects that they get started with rather than sort of being a book that starts by what's the language feature. So it does a bunch of projects. And you don't have to have this book for any other reason except that this was a way Brad likes to use an actual book so we can create assignments and things. So if we go to using Runestone 20, I'm not sure if he's already created assignments. Oh, should be in assignments here in table of contents. No, he hasn't yet, but he will create assignments just like I was showing you. So it's a way to have everybody in one book to show them things. Well, thank you, people that are thanking us for the materials. Did we answer your question, Lakeisha?
I think she said she got it.
Okay, excellent. And then everybody was able to create an account on Runestone or get at least one book added. So, Babu, they're asking, are we going to email the recorded session?
Right. I'm finding out now.
I see.
That's why my head is down. I'm trying to ask now.
I'm also interested if there's any features you're interested in us adding to the ebooks. This is an open source project. We welcome any and all help, but also feedback is really useful. For years I was working on these ebooks and got very little feedback, which is part of what I liked about running Project Rise Up and Sisters Rise Up was that was one way I got feedback. So I saw the APCSP course. It says it covers big data a little bit. Which programming language is it committed to? Well, we use Python in that book. All data visualizers are very much appreciated. Yeah, I love Python Tutor and Java Tutor. I'm excited now that we have, for a while we couldn't do Java Tutor directly in the book, but now we can. I see Lynn has answered. They'll be posting recordings. Great.
Okay.
What's the GitHub repo? That's a good question. Hang on a second. A little bit complicated because I had a repo originally when it was the Java review book, and then we forked that one to create CS Awesome. So it's a little bit of links back and forth to things in some ways. So let me see, where is my version
So
here?
question for some of us, what is a repo?
Oh, good question. So GitHub is the most used source repository for open source projects, as well as lots of other things. You can have all sorts of things on GitHub. Oh, that's mine. Never mind. Oops, that's the wrong one. Sorry, ignore that first one there. This is me getting confused. So the second one that I put that starts with github.com B Hoffman. So I can actually show this. I can go there here. Where is that window? Let me switch. So GitHub is where open source projects typically live. It is a open source, or it is a repository. We call it a repo for short, repository of a project. And you can have all sorts of materials on a GitHub repository. You can have code, you can have just text, images, videos, whatever you want to put there. So it's really just a way to organize projects. You can have multiple people that contribute to a project. So in this case, this is Beryl Hoffman. She is one of the people from Mobile CSP. So she took over the Java review book and then made it CS Awesome. And so she has multiple repos, but this one is APCSA-2019 is the CS Awesome one. All the source for the books in _sources. It's organized by the units. So if you wanted to see things, you can click on those. And then you can see, we write in RST, which is this restructured text, and you can see what it looks like here. So all the code that you can run are these active codes. And then if people make changes, they do what's called pull requests. So here we have a couple pull requests waiting. Test 5 is one somebody opened a while ago, but there were some problems with it. You can have commits. So as people make changes to the ebooks, you can commit things. What do you want to change? Oh, where's this one? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say another question came up about CS Awesome. Is that just for AP CSA or is AP CSP on there?
CS Awesome is only for CSA. The student CSP or teacher CSP is for CSP, for CS principals. Is there a Spanish version? There are for many of the courses already, actually, but they're not necessarily on Runestone. So people copy our books. All our books are open source, Creative Commons license. So I know people have created, for several of our books, there are several languages of them, but they're not available necessarily right on Runestone. So people take them and put them on their own servers. So I'd have to do some digging to figure out where they are, but I know that there's a Spanish version of the student CS principles. There's a Norwegian, there's a Finnish, Chinese. I don't know about CS Awesome, how many languages, because that's a newer one. We just really, the current version is newer, if there's any other languages for that one yet. What is the course ID that we're registering for? It depends if you're looking for the series of workshops, that was using Runestone 20. Yes, which I got to find now. Where's my, copy paste that into the chat window again. Oh, this one, using Runestone 20. Yeah, just put that right in the course name. I believe CS Awesome is listed as an accepted framework by the College Board. Is that still the case? Yep, we are an endorsed provider. You can use the CS Awesome course outline for approval. Yep, you can use any of the, I would recommend joining the CS Awesome teacher group. But yep, it is a endorsed provider, which we're excited about. We had 10,000 registered users this last semester, and I expect that to go up even more. Remember, people don't have to register to use the ebooks. They can use them freely without registering. But if if you're creating a custom course and you want to be able to grade your student work, then you want them to register. If you have a concern about their privacy, one of the things you can do is you can create a bunch of course names, like, student 1, students 2, student 3, whatever, and then you'd have to do that mapping, right? So if you don't want us to have their emails or, Runestone to have those things, you can do that. You can make a bunch of fake sort of students for your course, and then you need to map from your fake things to your real things when you do your grading then. But we do have a privacy statement on Runestone. Students can opt out of the research. We do use research anonymously, so I get the log files anonymously and take a look at those for things. Of course, you have access as instructor. You can decide you want your students to register and how you want them to register. Any other questions I've been missing?
No. Anyone have any more questions or would like to? Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I think we have Mr. Randy. See if we could get him up. So, like I said, it is a little slight delay to add video. Okay, well, while he's trying to come up, we had another question that says, how can you edit a custom course?
You don't really edit a custom course. You can assign, you can pick. So if you want to assign readings, you can pick what you assign to your students. What you can do if you want to be a real, what's the right word? I'm blanking on a word. Anyway, if you want to put some work into it, you can fork the book and then modify it, right? So you could fork our book and then edit the table of contents, and change what you want people to do and create your own materials. But for the most part, if you just want to use the book and then just change what people, what you assign them to do, I would recommend just creating a custom course from the existing book and then just assigning what you want them to do. So you don't have to, you'd have to write an RST. You don't have to, we actually have HTML. So the RST, we run Sphinx to create the HTML. So you could just write an HTML. But right now we don't have tools that you could make it a lot easier for you to create custom things other than that. It's on our to-do list, but it is an open source project. Is there anything in particular people have tried to do with Runestone that they're interested in how to do something? What have I forgotten to tell you?
I know one of the teachers said they used CS Awesome this year, and it really helped them kind of get through as far as teaching their AP CSA course. So,
yeah, I'm really excited about all the things that the mobile CSP group has added. Where is CS Awesome? I keep losing it now. I'm trying to find it again. There it is. Okay. I was going to show you some of the other cool things that Beryl added to CS Awesome. So they have these challenges a lot of places. So there's programming challenges that are intended to be more open-ended. They have POGL activities. You can share codes. You can have people pair up and work together. And then if you pair code, both people will get it after it's shared. So when you save and run, when students are logged in, it will store all their work, which is kind of cool. So here, if I go ahead and fill something in, I have to read this thing. What am I supposed to be doing? Fill in values, current year. Okay, 2020, birth year. This is when my dog was born, apparently. Okay, 20, let's say 14. Oh, my birth year. Okay, let's try again. Dog birth year. Let's say, try to formulate, calculate your age from the calendar year and the birth year variables. From the current year, okay. Current year minus birth year. Oops. Maybe this is Java. All right. Formally calculate my dogs. I'm gonna see. I say I save and run so far. I'm gonna get errors, of course. But notice there's this scroll window now. You can actually scroll back and see history of what was changed.
Oh, wow.
So if I have several changes here, so I only have one so far. I'm gonna go ahead and do this one. Current year minus birth year. Okay, so every time I hit save and run, it'll add to this, so I can scroll back through the history and see what happened. So I can see that that was before I added that. So if you make a mistake and mess something up, you can scroll back and see it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
I can show it in the code lens, so if you want to be able to step through it and see what's going on. It's still building my visualization down here. They can be a little bit slow.
Okay.
But it should come up.
So another question that Leonardo Alvarez asked was, do you have a preferred or suggested IDE that teachers or people can use?
For Java, I use IntelliJ. So a lot of people use REPL.it, REP. So there are some links to those in the ebook. I just use the ebook. Why use something else? But if you want them to use something else, I always like Dr. Java because it had this interactions pane at the bottom. So it was easy just to type some Java code and not have to write the whole class and public static void main and stuff just to test out Java code. So I always like Dr. Java as an IDE. What else are they asking there? Yeah, so I know a lot of people are using REPL.it. There's also a question to open up to other people. What other people are using? BlueJ. BlueJ's nice. Very good for teaching Java concepts, especially object-oriented concepts, because you can inspect your objects and classes and see how those things are related. I also like Greenfoot, which is on top of BlueJ for APCSA, because people can more easily create 2D simulations and games. So I find that is a really nice, motivating way to introduce objects and classes. I have some videos actually in the CS Awesome ebook about that. Yeah, Greenfoot is awesome. So I like all of those. I mean, there's many different. What I don't like is using Eclipse. For beginners, Eclipse is a professional environment. I don't think it's a good thing to use with beginners. If you want to bring your beginners up to professional over time, that's fine to use Eclipse down the road, but I would not start with Eclipse. I think that's overwhelming. Other things other people are using?
I used Dr. Java when I was in the classroom.
Well, good, because I taught you Dr. Java. So.
Any other questions for Dr. Erickson? Or any other comments? Okay, so do you want to put your contact information back up on the screen? And I know I think it's on your slides as well. So
yeah, I'm going to throw the chat window too. It's my email if anybody's trying to reach me. Back up to the top here. There's my stuff. So yeah, this is actually my old email address from when I went to Michigan for my master's long time ago, back in the 80s. They kept it around all these years. I was like, seriously? You're giving it back again? Wow. Oh, and people, make sure you go to the CS Awesome website. If you're interested in a teacher PD, we have a bunch of PD that's free, actually, because we had some people sponsoring it. So we had some funding from Google, we had some funding from Amazon, especially if you're a CS principles teacher and trying to learn CS Awesome, CSA, to teach CSA. That is something we are very interested in, trying to help people make that transition. That's part of what's in the CS Awesome ebook. You'll notice some blocks, because a lot of people in CS principles are using blocks-based languages. So you'll see some blocks-based approaches to new concepts first to say, okay, you may remember this if you did a blocks-based language, and here's what it looks like in Java. So we are definitely trying to bring along people that have had a blocks-based introduction to programming and help them move to Java. That's also what I think the parsons problems, the mixed-up code problems are really nice for. Instead of just moving from box-based language to typing Java, that's a big jump. But blocks-based language through parsons problems to scaffold you learning Java, I think is useful.
All right. Anything else, ladies and gentlemen?
Oh, somebody says they use Replit. That's the one that there are links in CS Awesome to Replit as well. Is there some energy around mainframe computing? Is there a group looking to create a course using COBOL? Wow. Shades of 2000. I don't know of a lot of people using COBOL anymore. But, you know, you can write anything in any language. So it's just, do you want to, you know? I don't know of people doing a lot about creating ebooks for COBOL right now. The hot languages right now, for the most part, are Python, C, C++, C#, those things. Well, Java's second. So Python's first, then Java, then the sort of the C languages are the most popular right now still. And that's what we're kind of supporting right now on Runestone. Runestone also does support SQL, so SQL, JavaScript, HTML, so you can write books for all of those things. I think we also support Octave, which is the open source version of MATLAB. But I don't know of anybody creating one for COBOL right now. But like I said, hey, Runestone's all open source. If you want to create a book, it's not that hard to create a book. What I love about creating ebooks on Runestone is I've written a lot of paper books over the years. So here's one of my Java book for. So, and those were, you know, as soon as you write one of those and publish it, it's got errors in it and you have to fix the errors, and you don't get to fix the errors until you write another version. What I love about the interactive ebooks is I can, so I got his version. Woo! What I love about the interactive ebooks is I can get an email from a teacher saying, oh, there's a mistake here, and I can go fix it and it'll be up by the weekend. So we do have a lot of people that are giving us comments and stuff. And that's great because, you know, that is a wonderful way to test these things and see where there's mistakes. Sometimes when people tell me there's a mistake, I'm like, that's been in there for 7 years. Nobody said anything before now. So that is one of the great things about the teacher community is that I'm getting more feedback from teachers. IBM is looking to support PL1. Oh my gosh, PL1 is what I wrote in back in the 80s. That was my first in undergrad. That's what we did in undergrad was PL1 because that was General Motors was using PL1. IBM had created PL1. What did Rich Kick put in here? Something about.
Wow. Well, there's a link talking about New Jersey using COBOL. Language.
Serial programming language. Yeah,
coming back, making a comeback.
I used to work with one of the guys I used to work with, you know, had done COBOL, and, you know, year 2000 was the COBOL programmer's year, right? Because there was all this COBOL code that people were worried was going to fail when the year 2000 hit. And so, well, 1999, whole bunch of people got money as COBOL programmers because people were worried about things crashing. That's why COBOL's coming back. All right. Our system was in COBOL. I just found COBOL, when I used to write in COBOL in undergrad, it was just so wordy to do anything. It was like, oh, this is ridiculous. Snowball was worse.
All right. But yeah, wanted to
tutorials for creating courses on Runestone. So if you go to the instructor guide, There is some information about it. I look at the overview. Really, there's not a lot of good tutorials for it. But there, if you look at the instructor guide, that'll help you get started. And we do have every other week we have an instructor's hangout, Zoom hangout. So if you're interested, there are places to add. I do recommend you join. There's a group with a Slack channel and everything. I'm trying to find, let's see, back to this. So if you go back to the main page of Runestone, which I'll put in the chat window, if I click on that little icon on the top left, that'll take you to that main page. You'll see that there's an instructor guide there. You can click on that. And then there's an overview about the project. So if you read this overview, join the discussion on our Google group, report bugs on GitHub. So that's a good way to get started. But you're welcome to join our instructor group. What about badging and opportunities for students? Sometimes students and teachers are intimidated by a CSA course. It's another pathway to Java that's recognized by the industry. Well, there are Java certifications that industries would accept. The Java certification exams, there are picky details about Java. I don't particularly like those exams, the Sun ones. I think they created a new one that was supposed to be like the APCSA course, as I recall, too. So that's also an opportunity. If you don't want to take the AP course, you could take that certification from Oracle, I guess is now people who own Java.
Okay, so we have about 2 minutes left, but definitely wanted to thank Dr. Erickson for coming back home to speak, so to speak. Right. And sharing her awesome resources and ebooks and information. I see in the chat that, a lot of people found that very, very useful, very, very helpful. So on and so on. So we do really appreciate you, Dr. Erickson.
Thank you. I appreciate all the teachers I worked with over the years in Georgia. They put up with me when I knew nothing at first. And I learned along with you about how to do teacher PD. Made a lot of mistakes, but met a lot of great people. And I think we changed Georgia, which is super cool. But we're not done. There's still plenty to be done. Right. We did make some inroads, but more to do.
Okay, so if you're still here and have not completed the attendance session form, and you should do this at every session, just a way for us to kind of have an idea how many people were attending the session, if we need to use it for data purposes, things like that. Please do so. Also, there is a 15-minute break before the next session starts at what time is it? 11:30. So feel free to take a break, get a drink, so forth and so on, and we'll see you back here at 11:30. Any closing remarks, Dr. Erickson?
Oh, keep fighting the fight. Do good work. Make CS available to everybody. Everybody can succeed. I always tell people, y'all learn to read, you can all learn to program. It may not all be good at it. It may take a little bit of extra effort, maybe whatever, immediately, but you all can do it. So everybody can learn to program. It can be, I try to make it easier for people and more interesting is what I like to do.
Yeah. Well, this session was awesome. So thank you. All right. So long, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you at the next session, 11:30.
Right. Bye.
Bye-bye.